I've made a decent amount of content up to this point for Outriders, a game that's going to be coming out later this year that reminds me of Gears of War. It seems like a spiritual successor to Gears, even though they really haven't said that. But I'm really excited about this game, guys. Let's talk about everything that we know so far about the game. So in an article written by Tobias Palm of Square Enix, we recently opened the floodgates and shared a torrent of information about Outriders, a brand new shooter RPG from People Can Fly, which, by the way, guys, People Can Fly are the ones who actually helped make Gears of War Judgment. You'll be able to find much of this information on Outriders social channels, and there's already a deep dive on the Square Enix blog. But perhaps you want a less exhaustive look at the game. What is Outriders? So Outriders is a 1 to 3 player RPG shooter set in a dark and desperate sci-fi world. It's also a completely new IP. New franchises of this scale are quite rare these days, and the arrival of a new console generation means there's no better time to jump into a fresh universe of possibilities. While Outriders may feel comfortable and familiar in some aspects, make no mistake, everything from the gameplay, setting, weapons, characters, and more are all brand new. We're excited to see you delve into their specific nuances and secrets. So notice where he says, while Outriders may feel comfortable and familiar in some aspects. So obviously they're taking things from certainly Gears of War, probably Destiny as well, because you can see like different abilities and things of that nature within this game. So that's kind of something that's exciting and something that you can kind of relate this game potentially to up to this point. The universe and style of Outriders is something entirely different to the rest of the herd. We've left behind clean sci-fi with its lasers and shiny metals. Outriders takes place in a dark and desperate world where every day is a visceral fight for survival. The game is set on the planet of Enoch. While humanity was promised paradise, a weird phenomenon known as the anomaly has turned it into a nightmare. If you'd like to learn a bit more about the world and the story of the game, check out some of their short videos. So what I'll say, guys, is from what I've seen, of course, from what they've shown us up to this point, a lot of the creatures that are in this game look pretty awesome. Like, they look really well done. The graphics look very well done as well. It does give you like this Destiny vibe, but also Gears of War vibe, because a lot of the creatures kind of look like something that you would see out of the Gears of War franchise as well. But the graphics, I'm just gonna state this, the graphics look really good, and this game's gonna be coming out on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, as well as Xbox One and PS4. So Outriders will release for all platforms in holiday of 2020. Already stated where you're gonna be able to play it. And what kind of game is Outriders? At a fundamental level, Outriders combines challenging and satisfying shooting, deep RPG mechanics, and an excitingly savage story full of memorable characters. The game features intense action with brutal powers, all underpinned by People Can Fly's decades of experience creating shooters. That almost tangible feeling of pulling the trigger, it's there. But importantly, you can also shape your Outriders experience around the things that matter to you. The game features an extremely flexible skills and upgrade system that lets you build a character to suit your playstyle. If you like to hunker down behind cover and deal devastating damage from a distance, there's an option. Alternatively, if you like to get up close and personal, you can create a build that supports run and gun gameplay. And if you want to spend hours creating your own perfect character build, feel free to min-max away. So one thing also, guys, that reminds me a lot of Gears is the cover system. This is like the first game I've seen where there's like this cover system that looks very similar to Gears of War. And of course, the characters, they don't necessarily look quite as good as like the Gears of War characters, but I'll say that the characters themselves look a lot like Destiny characters that you would see in those games. But nonetheless, guys, I think that overall, what they're going for is like a Gears of War kind of style shooter that also you get abilities for, which Gears of War, obviously, you don't really get abilities whatsoever in that game. So this is a game where you're going to have, abilities as well as a cover system, as well as, probably some different challenges. And it looks just as gory as Gears of War, maybe even a little bit more gory. That's what I kind of noticed from at least what they've shown us so far. Outriders is not a games as a service title and does not include microtransactions. So that's pretty awesome, guys, that there won't be any microtransactions. Now we'll have to kind of wait and see when the game comes out, because we know that there's a lot of developers as well as publishers out there that will say one thing, and then when the game comes out it ends up being a different thing, or they wait till the reviews come out and then afterwards they'll start adding a bunch of other things. you know, as in the form of microtransactions. So we'll see. It sounds really good right now. Hopefully they stick to it. So we believe Outriders will be a truly memorable experience. We've already released huge quantities of information and gameplay footage both on the official Outriders channel, but also through press and the content creator community. You can now see what the game will be like and might even be able to imagine yourself sitting down in front of it later this year. We're confident you'll love it. So, look guys, I think as a whole, the things that are most exciting to me is that this really feels like a spiritual successor to Gears of War. Not so much Destiny, even though Destiny, of course, with the abilities and the characters look a lot like that. But I think what people can fly are doing is they see that Gears of War, even though Gears of War is not, you know, obviously one of the biggest games in the world, it's still a very strong franchise without a doubt. But there's just been a lot of problems between, you know, the community and the developers and such. I think this is Outriders. They're looking at an opportunity that they could start trying to steal a lot of those players away from the coalition and from, of course, you know, Microsoft in a way to come over and play Outriders. And I think that this is the title that I think that the Gears of War community needs at this point, because in my opinion, I think Gears of War is in a great place, even though the community is in a very bad place at this point. But I think having other games and other experiences for the Gears community to try out that's similar to Gears of War will be good, because I'm saying that Outriders I think is going to be a great game, but I think after a while people are going to still come back to Gears of War because there's nothing like that cover system. There's nothing like, you know, some of the different weaponry as well as the cosmetics and all of the different characters and such. Now we're going to have to wait and see how Outriders is. I mean, the characters don't look quite as badass as the Gears of War characters, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good game and a good campaign. What I love about what People Can Fly are doing is they're making this a full package deal. So they're going to have, of course, they're going to have multiplayer, they're going to have a story mode, they're probably going to have, you know, co-op modes and things of that nature, similar to what you would see in a Gears of War title, like a AAA title. That's what this is probably looking like it's going to be at this point. And that's what I'm most excited about with Outriders, is that this is just going to be another experience. And you guys know I love Gears of War. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. And I think it'll be nice to have something that's similar to Gears of War, because we really haven't seen a lot of games that have stolen ideas from Gears. There's been a few, but this looks so much like Gears with the cover system, and of course with the exploding heads and all of that different stuff that goes on, of course within Gears of War, and the creatures and all of that. This just seems like a different experience, and that's what I'm really excited about. Now, Gears of War Judgment, guys, was probably the worst Gears of War game in my personal opinion. But this does look like something special. Now, here's the thing. We were all excited about Gears of War Judgment when that first came out, and it basically was like a horde simulator, in my opinion, when the campaign came out. It was just over and over again, like you were playing against hordes of enemies, like you were playing horde mode in a campaign, and I could not stand that concept. But some of the ideas that they had in multiplayer and such were actually pretty interesting. So I think if we get this, you know, People Can Fly are doing a completely new IP, we'll see what happens. There's sure to be some problems and snags here and there, but this could be a really special new IP. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Outriders and what you've seen so far of the comparisons to Destiny and Gears of War. Let me know what you guys think, and for more Outriders content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.